Hey, Battle Bill here with another video, and today we're going to get into some more Great League Go Battle League battles. So, your boy made a big change. I made a big change to the Mudboy Strat. I got a new strat for you guys. It's the Dirtboi Strat. Wait for this one. So, there was a big argument all over Twitter. Toshi started it. He was saying, is Stunfisk a Mudboy or not? And I'm here to say, you gotta have water mixed with your ground typing to make a Mudboy. Stunfisk, I know he looks like a flat pancake. I don't care if he's in the shape of some sort of weird looking fish, but he is ground mixed with electrical currents flowing through his beautiful little pancake self. So he is what I'm going to be calling a Dirtboi. If you need to attack me in the comments, make your arguments, go ahead. Be my guest. But Stunfisk, he's a Dirtboi for me, and I got what's called the Dirtboi Strat. So I'm making some big changes here, really innovative. I'm taking my Skarmory, Swampert, Whiscash team, and I'm changing Whiscash, and I'm throwing in Stunfisk. Let's get into these battles. Let's see if it even makes a difference. I got an interesting set ahead for you guys, and I did a couple sets before with this team. Honestly, I don't really. Let's just get into it. We'll talk about it there. So let's get into this first battle. And honestly, when I jump into this, I got this first battle against Nicolo Lars. I'm kind of hoping for some similar things. I lose lead here. I got Skarmory on Registeel, and essentially I got to swap out no matter what. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, do I maybe want to swap out to Stunfisk? So I don't do it in this battle. I go for the Swampert swap, and my opponent brings in Altaria. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, this might have been a better situation for me to swap in Stunfisk, because if their counter was Altaria, then Stunfisk could have a better matchup against Altaria by throwing the discharges. Not that Stunfisk would have necessarily won it, because those Dragon Breaths really add up, even though Sky Attacks would be resisted. But I haven't completely run, the simulation, so I wouldn't know how bad of a matchup or how good of a matchup it could be without me actually playing it out. So there's only really one way to find out, and I didn't exactly, get to find that out here, because I brought in Swampert. Either way, I threw my Sludge Wave like I usually do. I'm going for the Hydro Cannon here. I'm going to throw it hoping for the shield. I'm hoping that he thought that I built up to a Sludge Wave. I'm going to throw another one. He does shield. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I should be able to get to the next Hydro Cannon. Did you see how close I was energy-wise? I didn't make it to the next Hydro Cannon. In previous situations, like in other matches, I had made it to that Hydro Cannon. So I'm a little confused there. I'm not really sure what happened, but other than that, I'm going to bring in my Skarmory, and I'm just going to attempt to farm up as much possible energy. I would love to completely farm down Altaria, but as much as these Dragon Breaths are resisted by Skarmory, the Sky Attacks and the Dragon Breaths do add up. Dragon Breath is just such an overpowered move that I don't think I'm going to be able to commit to this farm down here. I know I play out the situation a bunch of times, so I may or may not commit to it. I might go for it now. Yep, I'm going for it now, because I didn't want him to get to another Sky Attack. I still had almost a Sky Attack banked up, so I'm like, you know what, let's just throw this. I have one banked up. Registeel's coming in. Let's just guarantee that I'm done with that Altaria. And then my opponent brings in their own Stunfisk, and I'm like, wait a minute, that is not your Registeel, and this is not a positive situation for me. So obviously my opponent's going to keep their Pokemon in. I couldn't keep in my Skarmory to deal with this Stunfisk. My Stunfisk is now behind on energy, so it really has no chance to deal with this Stunfisk. And if I had Whiscash, it 100% would have been a better matchup for me, but I don't think it would have been good enough for me to pull out this match either way. I got a practically dead Skarmory in the back. If I would have brought in Whiscash, yes, I would have had the advantage here, but Stunfisk's Mud Bombs do add up against Whiscash, even though they're resisted, whereas against my opposing Stunfisk, they're going to be super effective, and Whiscash's Mud Bombs would be super effective to the Stunfisk. But I would have taken out my opponent's Stunfisk here, but I would not have had enough health to then deal with the Registeel, considering I don't have any shields in this situation. So that's the big issue. I'm going to end up losing this matchup. There's really not too much I can do. Honestly, I don't really know why I continue to play it out. But my logic here with changing this team even in the slightest bit and bringing in Stunfisk for Whiscash is because I'm noticing that I'm seeing a bunch of Altaria, Azumarill, Registeel cores. Like, that core is just getting more and more popular. It's been popular, don't get me wrong. This isn't like news to me. Look at that swap, yo. I had to flex a swap, If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down fighting. I'm going to flex swaps, and I'm going to just take this L in the most honorable way possible. But anyhow, so my logic was, if I keep on running into that core, which Pokemon could have similar attributes to Whiscash, but also can deal super effective damage against literally each of them. And the answer to that question is Stunfisk. Stunfisk, well, no, hold up. Stunfisk cannot deal super effective damage to Altaria. I apologize. I know my typing's there. It cannot deal super effective damage there, but it can get to Discharge, which would deal neutral damage, whereas Whiscash needs to get all the way to a Blizzard to deal any type of serious damage, which would be super effective against Altaria. But those typically go shielded, so it's like a Hail Mary play. But at the same time, at least Stunfisk can also deal super effective damage to Azumarill with Discharge, and then can deal super effective damage to Registeel with Mud Bomb. And look at how close I kept this. I mean, I was losing this no matter what, but I got that Registeel all the way in the yellow. I pulled that swap and everything, but this match just wasn't looking good no matter what, because I had a Skarmory on a Registeel lead, and then the swap in was Swampert on Altaria, and there was just nothing that I could do there. So getting into the second match up against Itch Trainer Red, we're going to notice something very similar in this match as opposed or in comparison to our first match. And that similarity is going to be a Skarmory on Registeel lead. So what do I do this time? I take my advice from the first match and I go, hey, let's see what happens when I bring in Stunfisk to deal with this Registeel. So I swap in Stunfisk, and instead of Swampert, this time it's my save swap, and I go for a Mud Bomb, and I'm like, wait a minute, he stayed in. Maybe I could deal some solid damage so I'll have to deal with it later. Well, watch what this Mud Bomb hits. His Azumarill! It didn't show me the swap. I hate when that happens. It gets me so salty. But on top of him pulling that really good swap, now I just threw a Mud Bomb in his Azumarill. And this isn't necessarily the worst situation. At least with Stunfisk as opposed to Swampert, I can throw these discharges consistently, and I don't really have to bait as hard as you have to do with Swampert, where you have to really go for that Sludge Wave and land it. Especially because it's like a two shield situation. So I'm like, I wonder if I could play this out and win switch advantage. So my Swampert lands on the Registeel, and my Skarmory lands on whatever his other Pokemon is. And maybe I found some sort of solution to this losing to a Registeel lead. So that's what I'm hoping for here. But again, I know that Azumarill has like access to Ice Beam and Hydro Pump and Bubble, which all literally deal super effective damage to Stunfisk, but then Stunfisk has the electric typing and Discharge to deal super effective damage back to Azumarill. So I'm just like, who's dealing more damage here? Who's really going to come out on top in this situation? I go for the Mud Bomb in hopes that I will grab that second shield. I throw it. It does not go shielded. But I'm like, you know what? That got it pretty low. Maybe I can commit to the farm down here and actually take back switch advantage, and I get it through. I get all the Thunder Shocks filled on energy. This looks great. But then he brings in a Sableye. Notice how you didn't see it yet, and this isn't me going based on memory. Again, I'm checking that top right corner, and I don't know why I'm pointing up. I'm not checking the top right corner of my camera. Anyhow, I checked the top right corner of the game screen, and you can see that Dark Ghost typing, and Sableye is literally the only Pokemon in the game with that typing. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I know the comment section will. I appreciate you guys for it. Either way, I'm pretty confident in that statement. And he brings in a Sableye, and I'm like, what do I do here? So I just continue to play it out with Stunfisk, hoping that my Stunfisk can take this matchup. Well, not take the matchup, but deal enough damage to Sableye where Skarmory can now deal with it. He brings in his Registeel, and things are looking great, but then I remember. Here's where Swampert is a bit of a downgrade-ish to Whiscash. That Focus Blast does more damage to my Swampert than it would do to my Whiscash. Then again, 2 Focus Blasts are taking out Whiscash, and 2 Focus Blasts are both taking out Swampert. So maybe I just didn't really set up my Swampert here for success, because my opponent has a shield advantage on me, and the only way I'm going to deal any serious damage is if I get to these Hydro Cannons. But he gets to a second charge and was super quick. Felt quicker than usual. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, I got conspiracy theories going on in my head. But regardless, I know it was only a Flash Cannon, which isn't the hardest move to get to, so it took me out, and I'm like, darn, I couldn't even get off one more Hydro Cannon. Like, now I have no chance of pulling this out. Like, I don't even know what I'm praying for, because I know these Sky Attacks aren't going to add up against Registeel. I know the Focus Blast is going to take me out, and I literally don't have Stunfisk left, and I'm like, darn, would I have done better in this matchup? Constantly, as I'm playing this entire set out, I'm thinking to myself, would it have gone better if I had Whiscash in the back? Would this match have gone better if I had swapped in Swampert and then had Whiscash? Like, I'm constantly comparing it in my head to if I had Whiscash instead of Stunfisk. My opponent decides to swap in and try and catch a charge move. It really doesn't make a difference. If anything, my opponent helped me keep this even closer. And I think I made a mistake here. I think I could have gotten to 2 Sky Attacks instead of throwing this Flash Cannon. And if I would have thrown 2 Sky Attacks, yes, the Sky Attack does less damage than that Flash Cannon does. I don't know if I would have gotten to it. I might have just fallen one short. I don't think 2 sky attacks would have taken this. But it would have been definitely a little bit closer if I had thrown the sky attack instead of the flash cannon. Even if I did get to it, I don't know if it would have taken it out. But regardless, I'm constantly in my head just comparing this team to that team. And if I would have swapped in Swampert, they probably would have brought in their own Azumarill. Most likely. I mean, they countered my Stunfisk with an Azumarill, so they probably would have done that. And then if I could have landed the Sludge Wave, then it would have all fallen on the baits and whatnot, and how I would have left that situation. And then I would have had to deal with the Sableye, and then maybe my Whiscash would have been in a better position if I landed a Sludge Wave against an Azumarill there. But now I'm really just like overthinking this, and now that's cutting into this next matchup. So we got the Skarmory on Azumarill lead, and what my plan is here is to keep it the same as if I was running Double Mud. Honestly, the main reason why the main reason why I swapped in Stunfisk, I mentioned it in the first match. Another reason why is because I'm seeing a couple Skarmories in the back, and I'm wondering if that gets more popular, if I'd rather have Stunfisk in the back versus Whiscash, because Stunfisk can deal super effective damage with the discharges, whereas Whiscash has to get all the way to a Blizzard just to deal neutral damage to the Skarmory. So honestly, I'm not hoping or expecting, ignore my alarm, I apologize about that going off. It was a weird time of day that I had that alarm set for. But anyhow, now I'm completely sidetracked. What the heck was I talking about? I don't know. Let's get back to this gameplay. I'm throwing the Hydro Cannon here. My opponent swapped in, but I was hoping for that Skarmory matchup in case Skarmories became more popular. So I was like, you know, maybe I can use this strat the exact same way, and if I run into either of those two situations, maybe I'll be in a better position with Stunfisk in the back instead of Whiscash. So constantly I'm using this team now, and I'm constantly thinking to myself, I'm constantly thinking to myself, would it have been better to have Whiscash there? Does this work out better? Does this even make a difference? So you let me know in the comment section as you watch. You think if I missed anything. My opponent goes for a Sludge Bomb here. I'm assuming they're running Sludge Bomb and Shadow Ball. I don't know if they undercharged that too, because that did an insanely little amount of damage. So that was very interesting to me. But now I'm in a position where if I bring in my Skarmory, it has a Sky Attack, and he just threw a decent amount of energy at that Sludge Bomb. So I threw one extra quick move. That wasn't an overtap. I did that on purpose because I didn't think he was that close to even a Shadow Ball, even though I know he overfarmed a bit. I throw my Sky Attack. It takes out the Haunter. I'm expecting a Registeel, even though I hadn't seen one. So I go for the as quick as I could swap. It had me throwing quick moves. And I'm like, maybe having Stunfisk is benefiting me in this situation because I'm able to get to a Discharge here, whereas Whiscash would have gotten to a Mud Bomb, and the Mud Bomb would not have taken out the Azumarill. The Discharge definitely takes out the Azumarill. And now I got my Stunfisk on a Registeel with a 1 shield advantage, and I end up winning this matchup. So actually, looking back at this, I don't know if I noticed it right away, but if I had Whiscash, the opponent would have most likely gotten to a charge move, even if it was just an Ice Beam. I probably wouldn't have shielded it, being worried about Registeel's Focus Blast in the back, but I would have had lower health, and Whiscash might have been a little bit worse off there. So that could have been a difference right there. Going into this fourth match, I'm going up against Trexler. I'm 1-2 in the set, and I'm constantly thinking to myself, would I be better off with Whiscash there or Stunfisk? I still haven't really come to a decision. This next matchup, we got Skarmory on Skarmory, and somebody recently asked me in my comment section how I play this out, and this is an exact representation of how I play this out. I go for my Sky Attack, hoping they throw. They don't. I overcharge about 2 more Air Slashes, and then throw my Sky Attack. I'm hoping since I threw, they'll throw, and since we only got about 2 more Air Slashes in, I could still bring in my Swampert pretty safely to deal with their Skarmory, if so. My opponent, though, decides not to throw yet, and they charge up a little bit more, which means they're practically at 2 Sky Attacks, which means I really don't want to bring in Swampert after this charge move. I will let my Skarmory completely tank this Sky Attack, and what my hope is that he will throw another Air Slash, and then go for another Sky Attack. Perfect. I got what I wanted. The Skarmory is practically at energy. It might have 1 Air Slash's worth of energy, but that's practically nothing. So I swap in Swampert, and my opponent goes for the immediate swap into a very recognizable Pokemon. Look what team we're going up against. We're going up against Caleb Ping's very famous grass team. And boy, do I have some exciting news here. So, my opponent ends up getting to the Leaf Blade. I shielded, which may or may not look smart to you. I then farm up a little bit, and then I throw my Hydro Cannon. I'm going for the bait. I might have figured out an answer for... I mean, I know this isn't my Double Mud team, but I did, again, another set later with Double Mud, and it worked out very similarly, and I was able to... Anyhow, I'm over-explaining. I was able to beat out Double Grass doing exactly what I'm currently doing, so please pay attention. I landed the bait, and I'm going for the Sludge Wave. Obviously, this is dependent on the fact if they shield or not. My opponent doesn't shield, and the Sludge Wave lands. So sometimes your opponent might prioritize shield advantage. And what I learned here is I can bait and get to that Sludge Wave before my opponent can get to their second Leaf Blade. And that was huge. And the reason why I know that is because I did it again later in the day with my double mud team. I was able to win a match with that. So maybe if I face this a few more times, I get enough clips, I'll do a whole little compilation of 5 batches of double mud versus double grass and see if I can consistently make that work or not. Here I make a mistake. I had switch advantage. Why did I bring in Stunfisk? I knew it was Caleb's team. Like, I knew it was his team. Why would I do that? I have no idea. I have no idea why I did that. I literally got switch advantage back and then gave it right back to him. I'm like, here. I don't want switch advantage. I want to lose this match. I brought in Stunfisk. Here's one situation where Stunfisk is a downgrade from Whiscash. Stunfisk has access to ground and electric moves, whereas Whiscash has Blizzard. So if I were to throw my Whiscash in the situation, at least Whiscash could have chucked the Blizzard at this Meganium and made it pay. Instead, this Meganium over-farms, and yes, it's only doing single-time super effective damage versus double, but that Frenzy Plant's still taking me out, and he's still overcharged, and he still was able to farm up a bunch of extra energy, which is why he's going for another Frenzy Plant here, by just purely Vine Whipping at my Stunfisk and absorbing all the little chip damage I was doing with my Mud Bombs. Luckily, I was only a Frenzy Plant, so I'm able to overfarm a little bit because I'm worried in the situation that Swampert might not have enough health or energy to deal with the Skarmory in the back because I made such a huge mistake. So I overfarm a tiny bit, hoping that I have a Sky Attack that between my Skarmory Sky Attack and my Swampert will be able to take out this Skarmory. So my opponent brings in their Skarmory as I swap in my Swampert. They throw their charge move, and now it just becomes a race because I now realize my Swampert has more health than I thought it did, and I need to get to this Hydro Cannon. I get to it. So even with that crucial mistake that I made, I was able to still beat this double grass team with my double dirt team, which then, you know, would essentially extend to if this worked here, should it work with my double mud? And later in the day, like I said, I didn't record it, but I was able to actually make that same situation work with double mud. It is a little bit dependent on if my opponent's going to double shield or not. But again, maybe I'll have another video on that. Talk about it more then. Let's get into the 5th match of the set. We're going up against Reacts. I've been seeing this trainer a little bit more and more recently because that username is very fascinating to me. It's very simple. So it's pretty cool that like you're able to get such a short and sweet username to yourself because, like, you know, millions of people play. Somebody's bound to get those names. Anyhow, got a nice lead. Skarmory on Wigglytuff, and they bring in a Sea King. And I'm like, wait, what? I was so confused. I was like, I do see Wigglytuff leads a little bit. So, and usually I win those leads, which are great, but I never see a Sea King swapped in. And I know Sea King, Triple Legacy, Poison Jab, Icy Wind, Drill Run, I know all about it, I hear all about it. So I shielded that first one, I'm going for the Hydro Cannon here, and I'm like, can I win out Switch Advantage? Like, I know Sea King's not exactly tanky, but these Hydro Cannons are resisted, and they're nerfed. My opponent shields the first one, and I'm like, okay, maybe you want to shield 2 of them? So I'm going to go for another Hydro Cannon here, and then I will essentially see how my opponent decides to play it out. They didn't shield that, and that was able to allow me to get a little bit more chip damage on them. And at this point, because I essentially won lead, I don't really realize whether or not I want Switch Advantage because I don't know the third Pokemon. But I don't really mind giving it up because both my Whiscash and my Skarmory can deal with that Wigglytuff. So I'm not going to shield anything going on from here. I'm just going to keep on throwing as many Hydro Cannons as I can. I got the Sea King super low. And did I say Whiscash? I meant to say Stunfisk. See, I'm so used to having my double mud team. I thought I could bring in my Stunfisk and essentially farm down the Sea King. I'm trying to catch him lacking. I unfortunately was not able to. My opponent brings in their Wigglytuff. And again, I think these last 2 matches, I don't know where my brain was, but I kept on making swaps that you shouldn't make. Because if I could have gotten Switch Advantage there, even though I don't think I could have, if I could have gotten it though, then I wouldn't have had to force my Skarmory into a situation where it could potentially get walled. If his team consists of Wigglytuff, Sea King, and Registeel, then I just completely screwed myself because if I was able to keep Switch Advantage, Skarmory could have lined up with Wigglytuff, Stunfisk could have lined up with Registeel. These last 2 matches, I make some serious mistakes. You saw the last one, I was luckily able to pull it out. We're about to find out whether or not I can still pull this one out. And I decide I want to use my last shield here because I don't know what the last Pokemon is. And if it is a Registeel, I know I can get to a Mud Bomb here, take out the Wigglytuff, and I know the lock-ons from a Registeel wouldn't take out my Stunfisk, so I'd be able to at least land 1 Mud Bomb on my opponent's Registeel. So that's my logic there, and what I'm hoping after I made a crucial mistake. I literally realized it as I did it. I was trying to like be sneaky, and it was just poor decision on my part. So I'm waiting to see what the third Pokemon is going to be. And it ends up being a Marowak. And I'm like, wait a minute. Not what I was expecting. Stunfisk goes down. I bring in my Skarmory. I'm hoping to get to a Sky Attack, and I'm also hoping my opponent doesn't pull a swap. You notice how that Marowak paused? I thought he was pulling a swap there, and I was like, no, I don't want the Sky Attack to hit your Wigglytuff, because that Wigglytuff's practically, not Wigglytuff, Seaking, because that Seaking is practically dead. He lands a Shadow Ball, and I'm now going for my Sky Attack. My plan after this is, I'm pretty sure I swap out my Skarmory, because yeah, I'm going to go for the swap because Fire Spins would farm me down, and I'm expecting the Seaking to come back in. And worked out perfectly. He wanted to catch a Hydro Cannon. He was super early. It let me farm down the Seaking. I'm throwing the Hydro Cannon now at his Marowak, and luckily, after all the mistakes I made, or the couple mistakes I made in these past 2 matches, I was able to pull them out, and I was able to end this set 3-2. So, overall though, haven't really come to any decision on how I feel about my Dirtboi strat now compared to my Mudboy strat. As of right now, I do feel like this Dirtboi strat is a bit of a downgrade to my Mudboy strat. I will try a few more matches with it and maybe see how that goes, but as of right now, and now I'm really repeating myself, Mudboys is still the way I'm going to try and achieve higher ranks on the leaderboard. Maybe if metas change and flying types make their way more into the meta, or Skarmory or Altaria specifically just become even more meta relevant. I know Altaria is still super meta relevant, but it only takes neutral damage from Stunfisk. I think this team will revolve more around if Skarmory becomes more meta relevant. So again, we'll see how things turn out, and I'll play around with both teams, and hopefully as time goes on, I can give you a better analysis or decision between the 2 teams. While other than that, guys, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate everything I've been getting, all the support, and I will see you guys in the next video.